All right, so welcome, Dominic. It's a big pleasure to have you on. We're going to be talking about this anthology film of yours with a bunch of other directors, producers. It's just like an ensemble is what you would call the list of people associated with this film for Deathcember. And you know, I'm really curious to kick off in this time period, of course, and I don't really mean to just start on any type of sour note whatsoever. I really speak from a genuine place, especially as we're going into the holidays. I'm always curious on how you are doing mentally, you know, and everything with how was the pandemic over there in Germany? You know, I try to pay attention to it as much as possible because I follow the German teams and whatnot. But, you know, as a person who's there living it, like, how has it been over in Germany during this whole entire like madness that has infected the entire globe, you know?
For most of the time, Germany has actually been in quite a good place, especially in the summer months. If we looked at a neighboring countries such as France or Italy, they were much worse off, and Germany had always had a rather small amount of infected and even dead. But it seems like things have changed for the worse just a few weeks ago, and it's getting worse and worse right now. While all the other countries around us have diminishing numbers of infected, in Germany they're rising and rising and rising. So it seems like starting next week we're going to have a full lockdown, which we didn't have since March.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I mean, our film was finished in 2019, and we had a big festival run before the actual pandemic began. Yeah. We did lose a few festival screenings, big ones like in Brussels.
For sure.
And actually, when Germany went into lockdown, that was March 13th, I think, we were actually practically en route to a festival screening in northern Germany, but we got the phone call that it's canceled and we had to return home. But apart from that, it wasn't so bad regarding the film. We had most of the festival screenings before that. And then we had a few in the summertime in Korea, for example, or Slovenia. But German society as a whole, yeah, it's looking pretty bad at the moment. And I think Christmas is going to be hard this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the same over here in America, man. We're just, you know, people were trying to do the right thing, you know, like you guys are a little bit more of rule followers over there than we happen to be here. So it makes those challenges kind of happen a little bit more. But, you know, hey, I pray for you guys. I hope, you know, everything goes well and you know, and things are able to kind of get back to normal, whatever that is going to be in the future.
Yeah,
pretty soon. So, but, you know, the great thing is you guys were able to get the film out before the pandemic hit, but I'm sure you guys instantly had to start game planning some challenges on how to sell the film and things like that, because now you're kind of entering into this unknown world. So like, what was it? Was there any discussions or any meetings, virtual meetups or anything that you guys had, like the minute you started getting these cancellations from the festivals and stuff, to try to figure out, okay, like, well, what's the next step for Deathcember? Like, like, we know we have it out in certain outlets and it's available for people, but like, what is that next step when we have so much uncertainty going on right now?
The good thing is we already had a world sales company in place. That's Epic Pictures.
Yes, for sure.
We signed with them last summer already. So it kind of was up to them basically to find solutions to do stuff, because they had the rights and they had the contacts. For us, it was pretty hard because we were planning on going to Cannes, to the European film market in May, and try to get some more attention from potential buyers and organize a screening at the market, etc., etc. But then that all fell through, obviously. Cannes was canceled. The film market eventually took place a little later, but it was a purely virtual film market, which doesn't make that much of a sense, because you have that film market because you can meet buyers from around the world at the same time zone. And if it's a virtual market, okay. But Epic screened a film there, and they managed to find buyers afterwards. Not in all markets so far. We have, the film has been released in the US now and in Canada, in Scandinavia and Germany, and it will be released in the UK very soon. And I think it's also been sold to Spain, but that's about it. And the current situation has made it more difficult, obviously, because even some big resellers, electronics markets, etc., are closed or are gonna be closed. And there's a whole a lot of insecurity among people and among retailers. So yeah, still there's not too much we can do right now. I mean, there's VOD, it's not ideal, but people can rent the film and it's there, it's finished. We're still hoping that next year, next Christmas season, we'll see more releases or even special releases. In the US, it's only been released on VOD so far by Shout Factory.
Right.
And they said that maybe they're going to put out a special edition Blu-ray next year. And Germany has received a more or less bare bones DVD Blu-ray release, and maybe there's going to be a special edition next year. It's hard to tell at this moment.
Yeah.
We just have to hope for the best.
Yeah. And I think like looking at you, so you have 3 very amazing films behind you. So I know a lot of people are very familiar with the Babadook and Donnie Darko, but I don't think a lot of people know German Angst. And that is like, and I mean, that's some next level type filmmaking in that movie there. I got the opportunity to watch that film very, very early into my writing career when it first came out. And I was super excited to talk about the film. And I just remember no one reading my review because they had no idea. But I think as like what we we're film fans, like at heart. You know, and I think you do feel like a certain sort of way knowing that people are not allowed to go in the actual theaters and sit down and get to see, you know, these 24 short films all pieced together. So I know that's kind of got to put a little toll on you, you know, knowing that the fans won't really get that true theater experience to really create the atmosphere with Deathcember.
That's true. I mean, we've been at a festival this summer in Slovenia, Grossman. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's a hidden champion over in Europe because it started actually as a wine festival and now it's still a wine and film festival.
Oh, wow. Okay. that's next level.
It's amazing. We went there and it's an amazing landscape and you got the best wines and everything. It's been running for, I don't know, 5 years, 7 years, whatever. And they still managed to hold it this year, but with all the restrictions in place and people from neighboring countries like Serbia, they were not allowed to travel there. So it was really sad. I mean, they had a festival and there were a few activities, but the zombie walk had to be canceled, the wine tasting had to be canceled, etc. And you had these 3 screenings at night in an open air cinema with 300 seats, and there were like 10 people there, and it was sad in a way. I think festivals try to do the best they can. Yeah. Some of them go fully virtual, some do hybrid. Yeah. And some actually start as a real event, but with reduced capacities. And I think it's great that these festivals are still happening. I think we all need to support them. But yeah, it's different. I mean, we had a world premiere at actual real life festivals, and we've been to a couple of real life festivals, presented a film, and that's a completely different experience. You're there, you can talk to people, you can see their reactions, and that's the best thing about making a film, to watch it together with an audience and see their honest reactions. I love that. And yeah, it hasn't been possible the last few months, which is really sad. Yeah.
All right, let's switch it around and talk about some good stuff. So let's talk about the inception of Deathcember, 24 Doors to Hell. Like, how did you come to this idea of, I mean, like, in the Advent calendar is something like everyone knows. I mean, like if you know Christmas, you know, I mean, opening up the chocolates. I think, you know, even films like that are not even in horror, like Bad Santa, they utilize the Advent calendar with the kid and all that stuff. So I think it was a treat for you to be able to bring that concept into the horror world. But like, so tell me how it came to be, and then the selection of these great shorts. I mean, like the Lucky McGee, Polly McIntosh. I mean, the names, AJ Bowen, like the names across the board, like from talent to filmmakers, is just extraordinary for anyone who's a fan of genre films. So like, how did the original inception of this come to be?
Well, on the one hand, I've always been a fan of Christmas horror. It's really a subgenre that's close to my heart.
Yeah,
since
Black Christmas.
Watched Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Silent Night, Deadly Night, yes.
And a little later, the original Black Christmas. And I was like, wow, I love that. And each year for Christmas, I sit down and watch classics and new releases. There's been a couple of good new releases in the past few years, such as Krampus, obviously. Krampus, but also, Better Watch Out, and Secret Santa. Love that one. But still, there's actually not too many that are noteworthy. and I felt there was room for more. But the other thing is I love anthologies, and ever since I first saw ABCs of Death at a festival, I was blown away. That was such a unique, original concept. And in 2016, I was at some film festival, and I can't remember which film I watched, but it was not so very exciting. And my thoughts started to drift, and I was thinking at some point, man, what would be the perfect horror film for you, for yourself? And I was thinking, man, you love anthologies, you love Christmas horror, so why not put this together? And I thought it hadn't been done before. I know now there were one or two more examples of Christmas anthologies, not too many.
Yeah.
But if you're from Germany, you have to think of the Advent calendar. I mean, I know most people know the Advent calendar, even in the USA. Not in Asia though, but in most Western countries, people know about the Advent calendar, but in Germany, it's a real pillar to you as a kid growing up. You have that Advent calendar, it's there.
Okay.
So it came to my head almost immediately, and I was thinking, man, that's a great concept for an anthology because you have that frame structure already in place with 24 doors.
Yep.
In Germany, it's 24. I think US maybe has 25, whatever. In Germany, it's 24 doors.
Yep.
So,
yeah, because in the US, it leads up to Christmas Eve. So it's
I know.
Yep.
Yeah, and Germany, the bigger day is the 24th actually, and not the 25th.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah, I've heard that.
But yeah, anyway, so it all clicked. It made perfect sense. It felt like it's not been done before. It's a perfect setup for an anthology. And my God, it's so easy to market that. I know as a creative and filmmaker, you're not supposed to talk about that. Yeah. But still, it was like the easiest sell in our heads, at least. So I'm more of a writer than a director in my normal life. And I've started tons of scripts working on them, but most of them after a couple of days I threw them away because I felt like, come on, that's not working, it's too complicated, whatever. But in this case, even a week later, I was still like, man, that's a good idea. And at some point I went to a friend of mine, Ivo Szaloske, who's been in the film business for over 20 years. He's a sales manager, and I talked to him at a party and asked him, do you think that's an idea that could work, that could sell, that could be of interest? And he was like, oh, hell yes, let's do that. So we first started really thinking about that and throwing some names around, or writing some names of potential directors down. And at some point we realized the money that we could muster ourselves would not be enough. Yeah. So we would need to find a different solution to get more money on the table. And Ivo said, let's talk to Frank, which is the third of our producers, Frank Vogt, because Frank owns a post-production facility, and he has helped a couple of films through German funding within the last few years. So Ivo said, let's talk to him, and if he's on board, we're going to do this, the three of us, and we're going to try to get funding. And that happened. So yeah, there we were with the concept. We fleshed that out. We really fleshed that out quite detailed. And then we went to the funding board with a few treatments already on board. Ivo had a lot of contacts to directors, mostly from Germany, obviously, but also a few international directors. And we asked them, would you be interested and would you write a short treatment? Yeah. So we gathered a few of those, and we gathered a few letters of intent from film festivals and even distributions who said, yeah, we're interested in that on a general basis. And then we went to the funding board, and they said, well, that's a great idea. We're not going to fund it. Hey, why is that? And they say, yeah, it's a really great idea. We love the international approach and we love the surprise approach, but you should not surprise us. Please give us a few fully fledged out scripts and try again. Deliver at least 10 fully fledged out scripts. But they said we could try again, which is rare. They normally don't do that. They say you're in or you're out. Okay. But in our case, they said you're out, but you can try again. Okay. So, and that was in late 2017, I think. Mm-hmm. So we started all over again, and we decided on which directors we would really want to have in there and asked them, would you be game to write a script without knowing if the film will actually be produced? Because we can't tell at this point. Yeah. And luckily, almost everyone we asked was like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to be on board. I love the concept. So we submitted again in the summer of 2018 with 10 or 12 fully fledged scripts. In September, we got the green light. And in October, we went to Sieges and filled the last remaining slots. We saw films there from Isaac Asimov, Parallel,
Yeah.
which is now out, I think, tomorrow in the US, finally.
Okay.
It's been a
Yeah,
long wait.
Incident
Great film.
was amazing. Like Isaac
Yeah,
is so good. Like really,
totally,
really enjoy his work. Yeah, for sure.
totally. And we wanted to have him in there after we saw that film. And also um, Lazar Baudroza, who did
Hmm.
AI Rising.
Hmm.
Uh, that was screened at Sieges, and a few more. And so we filled the last few slots. And later on, we got a few bigger names in the form of Lucky McGee
Yep.
and Pollyanna McIntosh and Ruggero Deodato through a common friend of ours who's our executive co-producer,
Yep.
Yazid Benfegul, because he's been in the film business for forever,
Yep.
and he had direct contact to those. So yeah, the slate filled up, and we had some German directors. We explicitly didn't want too many German directors because we really wanted this to be an international compilation,
Yeah.
and not too German centric. But actually, one of the German directors is Andreas Marschall, who is one of the 3 directors of German Angst. So there's your connection.
Hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, we got a few younger American directors through Chelsea Stardust, people like Sam Weinman, Michael Verratti, etc. And a few European directors, which we knew from tons of places, and a few bigger names. And so, yeah, that was a nice mix, we felt.
Yeah, yeah. I remember first hearing about the film when I was covering the South African Horror Festival.
Oh yeah,
A
you
couple
did that.
years
Cool.
ago. Yeah, and it was, it's always weird because you never know, especially with anthologies. Like there's so many that just kind of exist out in the film festival world for like a year at a time, and then there's some that are instantly shot right to VOD or right to Blu-ray. So it's always, and I love the fact that you brought up ABC's of Death, because I'll be honest, like you do kind of get the feel of that, because every single time you're opening up a door, it's opening up another story, even though it's all still kind of within the realm of the holidays and stuff like that. What is one of the things that you really, really hope people get and enjoy when they get a chance to see it, for those who haven't seen it yet? What's something that sticks out that you're like, hey, I think you will really, really enjoy this about Deathcember when you see it?
Well, hard to say. I think one of the biggest features is that it's completely unpredictable. It's like, sure,
Yes.
you never know what's going to come next. And I mean, we try to sort the films in a way that there's a lot of variety, meaning we have a very slow burn atmospheric film next to a very gory, fun or fast one.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of tempo changes in there.
Yeah.
We got some really big names on the director side and also on the actor side, of course.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
totally
My friend, my friend was watching it with me, and she spit out her drink with Kill Santa, like, because of how it just was like, like, because you're watching it, you're waiting for it to lead. You're like, what is about to happen? And then when it happens, she just spit her drink out. Like, it's a lot of unpredictableness in that film for sure.
Yeah, that was the first segment actually that was completed.
Okay.
It's by Cedric Gonzalez Perelon from Spain.
Oh, okay.
Who did the great feature film Black Hollow Cage a couple of years ago, and we've known him a little longer, and we met him in Sitges in October 2018, and said, yeah, we're gonna do this. Are you in? And he's, yeah, I'm in. And we got his finished film, I think, at the end of November already. That was amazing.
Yeah.
We did it on such short notice. Yeah, but apart from that, we have some big names like Lucky or Ruggero. And we also have some really big names on the actor side, which was really surprising to ourselves, because I mean, Vivian Vaughn has brought Barbara Crampton to that.
Yeah, I mean, you see Tiffany Shapis right when the film opens up. Like if you're a fan of genre films, you know who that brunette is the minute she pops on screen. So.
Yeah. Exactly. That was the biggest surprise and biggest fun to ourselves, because of course we knew the treatments before they sent us the finished films, but sometimes you get an email from Vivian Vaughn saying, yeah, I got Barbara Crampton. We're like,
you're like, wait, really?
Are you kidding me? That's amazing. I hope audiences feel the same, because the films are really very different.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, it is. Well, you know, I really, really appreciate your time here. You know, I'm not going to take up too much more time because I know want you to be able to get back to your holiday celebration and things like this. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I feel like I have to because you are the one who kind of brought the concept to be. Do you have a personal favorite amongst all of the 24 films at all? Like, I know you don't want to. You know, we're not shying away from any of the work that any of the talent did on any of the other 23 films, but is there one that will always kind of pop out for you as like, yeah, that's the one I got to make sure everyone sees? I mean, of course, the entire film, but
Yeah, that's difficult actually because I've seen the film like 100 times by now, of course, and
yeah,
it changes every time I see that. I mean, you have some instant favorites in a film,
yeah.
some films that mostly everyone in the audience seems to like, and we also like very much. For example, Cracker by John Cook Lynch,
Mm-hmm.
which is the second to last film,
Mm-hmm.
because that's such a weird mix of retro sci-fi and comedy and shows war and everything.
It's pretty
I love
hilarious.
it. Yeah, it is. And also Villancicos by Isaac Asimov. I mean, that's a masterpiece in my
Yeah,
mind because
yeah, yeah,
that's a film that spans 73 and a half years within 5 minutes. And he brought like over 60 cast members and all in all, over 100 people worked on that film. It's perfectly choreographed. It's practically a one shot and it's mind blowing.
yeah.
So these are two films that stick out all the time, but there are others that have really grown on me a lot. For example, Sam Weinman's Milk and Cookies. It's
Mm-hmm.
so atmospheric. The score by Andrew Scott Bell is amazing.
Yeah.
And the kid, the boy, Q Kellen,
Yeah.
he's great. And AJ Bowen, of course. So that's one of the slow burners that really grew on me. Also, Lucky McGee's film,
Yeah.
They Wanted Horses, that's so atmospheric. I know that a lot of people are at first a little disappointed with that film because you don't actually get to see a monster. That's a small spoiler, but
Yeah.
whatever. You don't get to see a monster, but this film is so atmospheric, and the more often I see it, the more I love it. It's definitely one of the best shot films we have, and so I don't know. I would be probably able to tell you my 10 favorite films.
Yeah,
but
for
not
sure. It'd be a lot easier with that list, right? Well, I think, you know, personally, what I'll say is the unpredictability for sure is one of the main things I think people will really enjoy. One of the things that really stuck out to me, and I was having a conversation with my friend after we watched it, because, you know, we instantly started talking about all the films after we watched it, is even though this is set in a holiday spirit, I feel like you could watch the December any time of the year because there are films within the realm of within the scope of the rest of the films that don't really even seem like they just are defiant on the holiday. It just seems like it's just a very, very well done horror short, and it could involve any time period, any time of the year, you know. And I think that's one of the things about it that I enjoyed because it added more depth to the overall package, because I think sometimes you will get stuck with holiday films where people are like, I'm only gonna watch that when it gets around Christmas, where I feel like, you know, the 24 to hell will allow you to say, hey, anytime we want to just watch a crazy, you know, a collection of movies, regardless of the time of the year, this is the type of film you would pop in. So I think that really helps kind of just like put a lasting effect, in my opinion, on the movie. Is it's really more than just a holiday film. You know?
Thank you. It's great that you say that because in parts that was intentional actually, because if you look at a real advent calendar, at least in Germany, you get 24 doors, but it's not all 24 pictures or chocolates that are about Christmas. You actually have some in there that are just about winter or whatever. Yeah. And that's actually what we were aiming for, to have a few shorts in there that don't necessarily have to be tied to Christmas itself, but just give us a feel of a certain time period. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, or some people, are complaining that, for example, Aurora by Lazar Bodroza, the third short in our film, which is a sci-fi film, doesn't say Christmas at all. And Pig by Andreas Marshall has only a few slight hints of Christmas, but we were like totally fine with that. We told our directors, do the film that you want to do. You need to have a few references that make people realize it's set in December. But that's fine. We don't need a total Christmas relation to that. It just has to be set in Christmas. And Aurora is set in the future, but it's set on the 3rd of December because of that future story that's being told in the film. And Pig is set sometime in December, it plays on the 19th, but it's set sometime at as a party at a discotheque. So
Yeah.
no, it's not a Christmas film, but it's set in December, and that was what we were aiming for. It doesn't all have to be Christmas shorts. It just needs to be something that makes up the whole month.
Yeah, and it could be a nice little switch up. Like the thing that I enjoyed about it is you went from two films right off the bat that were completely like a little bit more Christmas oriented too. Like it was almost like I felt like we changed the channel. Like I'm like, did we turn on Sci-Fi Network? Like what's going on now? And because it was just so beautiful with that type of scenery that was created for the sci-fi, because it was like you had these own little hubs and like communities that were all distanced from each other. And I mean, and to me, I was like, I think my comment was, how did we go from a Christmas movie to some Jetson shit? I think that's what I said when I watched it, but it also felt like a nice little break too, where I was like, hey, this is a nice little break. And then it went right back into like Christmas carnage, like right after that. So it was perfect, you know? Oh,
Cool.
Well, hey, Dominic, really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this great anthology. I can't wait for more people to see the film, get the word out about it. Is there anything you have in the works coming up in the future you want to tell us about?
Well, not right now, actually. We're not. We're first gonna need some time off, actually, because we're still in the middle of trying to get this anthology out there. It's out now in the US on Shout Factory, VOD, and it's gonna have its UK premiere tomorrow at GRIMMFEST. But there's still a lot of territories that still need to learn about a film. And after we've successfully done that, we're all gonna take a few weeks off and relax.
Yes.
And after that, we're hoping for the pandemic to end. And once that is done, we're going to think about doing a sequel, maybe.
Okay.
We have plans to do so. We have a fully fleshed out concept. It's going to be slightly different from the first part.
That's great.
I think it's going to be better than the first part. We already have a few directors who are interested.
Awesome.
But it's going to be a while, because right now it's really hard for indie filmmaking.
Totally understand. Well, hey, happy holidays to you, your family, all your loved ones. Enjoy your celebration, and we will be looking for that news when it comes out, man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great day and have a great Christmas.
Thank you so much. All right, see you later.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.